Am I in the wrong for not letting my 16-year daughter have my 10-year son's room? We are in the process of moving into a new home. The house is more spacious than the old one, but has limited rooms. It only has 3 rooms. My wife and I have 3 daughters 16 years old, 14 years old, 12 years old, and 1 son 10 years old. The problem that's been tearing the family apart right now is that my 16-year daughter is refusing to share a room with her 2 sisters. She wants her 10-year brother's room. Her argument is that her brother is too young to have his own room and that she deserves more privacy and space since she's the eldest. Thing is, we, as a family, always give the boys their own rooms, no matter the age, while the girls share a room together. This method has proven to be working cause girls naturally share while boys don't, and they fight a lot. My daughter threw her age fit and got my wife involved. My wife called me unreasonable for thinking it's fair to make the 3 girls share one room, while our son gets an entire room for himself, and he's the youngest, so he's the one with the least privacy. I told her that it's been like this for years and just cause we are moving into a new home doesn't mean things have to change. To be honest, part of me is thinking that my 16-year is doing this simply because she's against the idea of moving in the first place and is looking for excuses to not move into the new home. My wife argued that moving our 12-year daughter with our 10-year is the best compromise, but my son won't accept this, and I already know that all I'm looking for is for everyone to be happy and comfortable, and to my understanding, my daughter was fine with sharing a room with her sisters then. Why change her mind now? My wife still sided with her and said that I should be careful because the girls are beginning to sense some sort of favoritism towards my son, which isn't true at all, but it's all about what we're used to and what is the norm in the family. They're both not speaking to me and are acting somewhat hostile towards me. AITA for those who are saying I was in the wrong for buying a 3-bedroom house. Well, our financial situation isn't the best right with everything happening in the world and real estate prices getting higher and whatnot. Also, those who are saying I'm favoring my son, I'm not. I treat him the same as his sisters in pretty much everything, and I 100% guarantee it. I accept my verdict nonetheless, but still wanted to make few points clear. Thanks anyway. I know I'll probably get some hate because of this, but it's my opinion, and I don't care if no one likes it. I've never commented on any post, but here's my thought. NTA. Your son is 10-year-olds, he's about to hit puberty. Does he really need to share a room with girls when he's going through that? Nope. He's going to experience things and possibly even try some things. If he's sharing a room with any of his sisters, it can make things awkward for all involved because the girls can walk in and see what he's doing. The girls should share a room because they can all know what to expect when they hit puberty, and your son being the only boy out of 4 kids, he's not going to want to go to OP or his mom about it. Yes, OP will be able to explain and probably has, but he still needs his own privacy from the girls. Try sitting down with wife and 16 years old and explain why he needs his own space away from the girls. Everyone sucks here. I grew up with basically the same dynamic. Our family has 3 daughters and 1 son being the youngest. We basically had the same age differences as this family does too. I was one of those daughters that was shoved into the same small room with my other 2 sisters all my life growing up. And honestly, it was cramped, but it was fine. It was what we had. Our house burned down a few years ago, and we had to rebuild it. We put us 3 sisters in the same room again, but made sure our room became the biggest and our brother's was the smallest, because it made sense. It makes sense to have the 3 daughters sharing a room, regardless of what stages in life they are going through. Who cares if the 16-year-old hears about the 14-year-old's boy problems or the 12-year-old getting her period? The 16-year-old went through the same stuff as a young girl growing up. The 16-year-old wanting privacy is normal, and it's okay to request that. However, demanding to take her brother's room as the solution is not okay, and makes her part R2. Shuffle the rooms around, and have the parents take the smaller room, or convert another room in the house into a bedroom. Splitting the bedroom assignments by gender makes sense. If they shared a room before, they can continue to share. The 16-year-old might move out for college soon anyway. The dad's logic and reasoning for it is a dumb and outdated thought process is what makes him kinda the R as well. Girls do not naturally share. I agree with everyone else. It is a learned behavior that boys can learn too. Also, arguing that the parents should have gotten a house with more rooms is ridiculous in this housing market. You don't know their family financial situation or the housing market where they live to make that a valid argument in this situation. You're the asshole for choosing a house that cannot meet your family's needs. Did you not count up your children when you were looking at houses? Of course adolescent girls shouldn't have to share a room with a boy. Of course your oldest, at 16, wants some privacy. Of course she's pissed off that her brother gets his own room while all 3 girls are crammed into one room. You created this situation. Is there a basement, covered porch, attic space or den that could be converted into a 4th bedroom? And since so many people seem to think I don't understand what a budget is, I'm not necessarily talking about a larger or significantly more expensive house. I'm talking about a decision like settling for potentially smaller rooms and a less convenient location or something with less curb appeal in exchange for that 4th bedroom. More spacious isn't worth it if it doesn't meet the family's needs. I'm not assuming a limitless budget. I'm saying that he picked the wrong trade-offs. Am I in the wrong for causing my husband to cut out his mother-in-law, 59 female, and I, 29 female, have never seen eye to eye on anything? Polar opposites. Neither of us are bad people by any means, just not compatible at all. We are friendly and civil because of our mutual love for my husband, 28 male. We've been together 7 years this year. We have 3 kids. One is mine from a previous relationship. He has been a part of his life since he was a year old. Every single year, without fail, mother-in-law forgets his birthday. It's the same week as hers, so should be easy to remember. She remembers our other kids' birthdays, her biological, but never my son. At first, I chalked it up to lack of bonding time, but that's not the case anymore. He's been to all get-togethers and here every time she visits. I told husband I was tired of it and she needed to treat them all equally. It's his mother, so I told him to deal with it. Mutual agreement that we deal with our own family while spouse provides support. Well, he didn't. It ended with him going nuclear, which I did not expect. I guess it led to a ton of stuff about his past with her, favoritism, religious trauma etc. I got a text from her saying this was all my fault because I made him confront her and wasn't being fair. My own mother agrees with her. A birthday shouldn't be this big of a deal. And I should just tolerate her, but I wasn't the one who went nuclear. I didn't even know he would do that. It was out of the blue for me too. So am I in the wrong? Should I have just let it be? Not the asshole. Birthdays shouldn't be a big deal for grown-ups. For kids they typically are. And treating kids with love, respect, and fairness is definitely a big deal. Also sounds like you triggered something with your husband that allowed him to confront his mom about her bad treatment of him as well. Stick to the spirit of deal with your husband and continue to support him just as he supported you. And congrats. It sounds like you have the asshole radar since you already didn't get along with this woman. Am I in the wrong for wanting sister-in-law to pay what we are since she moved in with mother-in-law? My husband grew up in a difficult environment. My mother-in-law is the type of person you hate just from hearing day-to-day stories that hubby thought was normal growing up. When you meet her though, it's hard to hate her. Horrible to say, but she is slow. No real diagnosis as she refuses to get tested, but anyone with common sense can tell she doesn't understand how life works essentially. It makes you wonder how she raised 4 kids successfully in admiration, but also how TF she is still surviving with all the poor decisions she makes. She is naive and has cost her for mother-in-law a lot by it, but these past couple years she has worked to change. Mother-in-law got out of a toxic 10-year relationship. This resulted in her having to pick up a second job since her ex was originally paying part of her bills. She has a lot of debt from prior mistakes. Bankruptcy was denied and she essentially started working 7 days a week over 65 hours just to cover herself. She does have a financial advisor we pay for, so she is on a track. After 4 to 5 months, we noticed she was completely drained and miserable. She never complained, but you could just see she was deteriorating. Her hair was falling out, weight loss etc. My husband and I made a plan and agreed to cover a portion of her debt, pretty much the same amount she was making for her second job. We pay the bills directly, not to her. We are also not struggling by any means. She was able to quit a second job, so now only works her 9 to 5 and looks and seems happier/healthier. My sister-in-law left her husband, he cheated, and moved herself and her 2 kids with mother-in-law recently. Since then mother-in-law has lost 10 pounds and her hair has started shedding again. She also got put on high blood pressure meds. Turns out sister-in-law leaves her kids with mother-in-law anytime she isn't working. So mother-in-law is working 2 jobs now again. We decided to give mother-in-law 1 month and set the boundary that if sister-in-law is there she should pay what we pay, which is $850 monthly. Our logic is that if sister-in-law is there causing the stress, we were literally paying for mother-in-law. To avoid, she should cover the costs instead. She pays no money to mother-in-law currently, but lives W/her and pretty much depends on her full time. Mother-in-law hasn't said much, but sister-in-law and other family are angry as hell. They say we are being greedy. Sister-in-law needs help on her feet and we are taking advantage. It's not harming us to pay, so mother-in-law doesn't work overtime, and we are using sister-in-law's pain for gain. Mother-in-law made many errors, but we truly saw her working to fix them herself. That's the only reason we volunteered to pay part of her debts, because she truly deserved to not work herself to death. Sister-in-law probably needs help, but we only see her causing detriment to mother-in-law. Just saying sister-in-law should pay or not leave her kids wouldn't work, and if mother-in-law can't relax, then we defeat the original purpose. Mother-in-law would never leave them homeless or call cops when she ditches the kids on her. Am I in the wrong to want sister-in-law to pay instead, since she moved in with mother-in-law? While your intentions were admirable, you're the asshole here. At a bare minimum, you, or preferably your husband, should have talked to the sister-in-law about the physical toll your mother-in-law was under and how much she improved health-wise not having to work so much before talking with your mother-in-law at all. Maybe the sister-in-law would buy in and this world been great. Maybe you'd have heard why she can't make extra payments and then wouldn't want to make an ultimatum to your mother-in-law. Either way, you are demeaning your mother-in-law by telling her how it's going to be when you're living under her roof. Everyone sucks here. It's admirable that you are sticking up for your mother-in-law and helping her through a hard time. But you don't have any say in who mother-in-law invites into her home. She may be slow, but she is still a grown adult capable of making decisions for herself. If she wants to have sister-in-law live with her and won't say no to babysitting, that's on her. Before threatening your mother-in-law to stop paying for her debt, you should sit her down and talk to her about what she wants. If she does not want sister-in-law there but can't say no, help her find a way to get sister-in-law out of the house. Not the asshole. You are helping to cover mother-in-law's expenses. Since sister-in-law moved in, that means you are essentially covering some of her expenses now too. I know you said that you can afford to help, but it is still a sacrifice because that money could go towards your retirement, investments, or even vacations. You are under no obligation to pay and chose to do so in order to help out your mother-in-law. You should then by rights also get to choose to change your mind if you feel that sister-in-law is taking advantage, which since your mother-in-law is starting to show signs of health issues, it looks like that is the case. You are simply removing your support from an unhealthy situation for your mother-in-law and making the sister-in-law step up to provide for her own support. It's your money and you get to decide what to do with it. No one is entitled to it. It's not being greedy, as you're not getting anything from this except for keeping your own money. It's not like you are asking sister-in-law to pay you. She has the subscription bar. Just try to take it away. You can't, but you can try.